So one time, I accidentally made a keyboard yellow, and then it became my entire personality. It was a joke at first, and I bought one yellow thing, and then another yellow thing, and then these $15 yellow things ended up culminating in a Mission to the Sun moon swatch for $300. Omega's fire, by the way, I love this watch. So basically my new favorite color became yellow. So now they have the backstory. I had to rebuild my PC. Well, I didn't have to. I have here this unpaid moderator. Well, he's not even a moderator, he's an unpaid helper. He hated my NR200 shoebox PC. I had stuffed a 3080 Aorus Master into it, had all these cables connected. He said, I'll give you money if you get rid of that thing. Only the OGs of the Discord will know this one, but as a wise man once said, never give up a chance to make $1. So the original build was the 5900X, a 3080 build, and it ran over 80 degrees Celsius all the time, 87 degrees average actually when I was playing something like Apex Legends. Even with a 280ml Arctic liquid freezer, it could only cool down so much. It worked, but barely. So the plan was simple. Sell off as many parts of the NR200 as possible, transplant it into a bigger case, and use it as an opportunity to simplify my build and my setup. As a keyboard streamer, I always had to have 2 cameras connected, and using 2 USB capture cards ended up becoming a hassle, causing me a lot of issues. I had a lot of USB dropouts, issues with signal, and just a mess of cables. With a bigger motherboard of a bigger case, I could have a PCIe capture card, the Camlink Pro. The unpaid helper, Lumi's owner, is sponsoring this video by paying for the PSU, the Corsair 1000X, and selling his soul to moderate my Twitch and Discord. With the new generation of parts, you need more power, so that's why we got the 1000-watt PSU, and we need more thermal headroom. So I got the new case, the Camlink Pro, which costs a grip, and the motherboard, a beefy Gigabyte X570S Aorus Master. Tons of USB ports, PCIe slots, M.2 slots, and the case of choice had to be the Phanteks P500A. So far, we have tabulated a ton of wasted money to swap. You see, the original NR200 is SFFPC, meaning it's smaller, right? Smaller motherboard, smaller case, smaller is more expensive. There's no real benefits other than the beautiful challenge of a small PC build. In reality, the portability, the backpackability is gonna cost you $500 or $1,000 more than the same parts in a standard size PC case like the P500A. The P500A was picked because it's big, a lot of airflow, and comes with 3 good RGB fans, and the theme for this build is black and yellow, as you can see over there. I wanted it to match my unicorn. So right here is white on black with a yellow case and a brass weight. You gotta match, you gotta have some kind of theme if you're gonna be a tech content creator, you know? I got the black and yellow keyboard, I got the black and yellow watch, I got to have the black and yellow case, and the fans, and the cables. We'll get into the cables in a second. For the original NR200, I had a friend that was willing to buy my case, as well as the upgrades to it, as well as some of the fans and the motherboard. So that saved me a little bit of time. It didn't really save me money because I'm selling it to a loss as a friend. I don't really miss the NR200 because that case was so small. I had to basically open the jaw of the case to get any parts out. In terms of the Phanteks P500A, the build was extremely simple. You had a big window to open everything. You can get your hands in there, and there was plenty of room to build. The P500A was pre-wired and only needed 1 cable for the front panel connector. So all in all, the build was a breeze. Except, I realized I got the wrong custom cables from CableMod. I ordered for the Corsair 1000 instead of the 1000X. That is a huge blunder because PSU cables are pinned out specifically to each PSU. You cannot use cables intended for different manufacturers, sometimes different models, but it's always a safe play to get the right cables to avoid frying your expensive yellow computer. So I had to reorder. Full disclaimer, I have a relationship with CableMod and they sponsored the cables that we're using today. So CableMod was really generous and just kind of chuckled when I made that mistake. So maybe if you can help me by considering buying some cables, keyboard cables or PC cables, use my affiliate link below the like button. So when I built the computer, the G.Skill RAM was not slapping, it was just black. I got that RAM originally because my NR200 had no tempered glass side panel. So there's no point in getting RGB. It was gonna be hidden behind a mesh panel, but now as you can see, there is a lot of glass and everything is seen. So I had to get the RGB. What's the point of having a case like that without RGB RAM? And it didn't come with an exhaust fan. And of course I added an RGB exhaust fan as well because you need RGB. I actually considered doing RGB fans for the 280ml Arctic liquid freezer that's now sitting at the top, but I thought that would be too much. I had to draw the line somewhere because I ran out of money. So in terms of tabulating the cost of rebuilding my computer, the new motherboard was $250, the new RAM was $170, another fan for $30, a capture card for $360. This was an expensive experiment. Thanks to RoboForm Password Manager for sponsoring this video. RoboForm is a full-featured password manager that allows me to keep my passwords safe. Not only does it store my complex passwords, it allows me to log in with 1 click, saving me precious time. They've been around for 20 years and have live customer service to help you with any issues anytime. Forgetting a password is frustrating because in the best case scenario, you spend a few minutes resetting your password, but worst case is that you use repeated and simple passwords. To avoid this, and someone can brute force and take over your accounts. With so many sites having access to our payment information these days, thanks to subscriptions, this can cause a lot of issues down the line. Some may ask, doesn't my browser already do this? I know Google and Apple do, but the browser included ones only work if you use Google software or Apple software. RoboForm works with all your devices and keeps it consistent. Right now I have something saved in Chrome and something saved in Safari, so sometimes when I update one place, it doesn't update across all services. I've been using RoboForm for a few weeks now and I find that's very intuitive to use. Not only can it autofill, I can actually use one click from the browser extension or app to log into my common websites. I'm the only one using my computer, so I don't have to fiddle around with clicking multiple options. I've used a handful of password managers before, such as PIA and Bitwarden, and I'll say this one has saved me the most time. I'm a nerd and I like automating as much as I can to do things faster. If this sounds good to you, click on the link in my description box to get 30% off RoboForm Password Manager for desktop and mobile. As you can tell, I'm a tinker. With all my keyboards, I always modify, I always fix it day to day. My first build in the NR200 was because I wanted a challenge, but it limited me in what I could do. I couldn't really modify the case, add more things to it. It was just kind of stuck. Everything basically had to connect to USB hubs in the back. So although my case was small, I threw in all these things in the back and it looked ugly outside of this case itself. So what was the point of getting it small? Also, to get the best CPU and GPU temps out of the NR200, I had to use the mesh side panel. I actually missed tempered glass sides. So with this build, I can clean up the cables in the back, I can actually see my components, and I won't have any more dropouts with my capture cards. Of course, I had to put it on my desk because I enjoy my things. So this build was 10 times easier than the easiest Mini ITX build, the NR200. Plug and play like adult Legos for sure. The only problem are two things. One, Gigabyte software is absolute hot garbage due to caca. I was trying to use the Gigabyte software to control the GPU and the fans and the RGB RAM and to get them all yellow. I couldn't. It was either gonna be orange stock or it would just kind of not work at all and not turn on. So for me to control the case fan colors with the software, I actually had to replug the RGB header every time I woke the computer up from sleep. That is very, very stupid. So I ended up finding some kind of orange color that was default and I just set it to that. I couldn't get the fine-tuned yellow that I wanted. Other than that, I love the P508 case. With all this space, I'm actually getting amazing temperatures. Tons of airflow. I'm getting temps in 60 degrees under regular load and 70 degrees when gaming. I never really see it go up to 80 plus like it used to in the NR200. The 5900X is still hot, so I just deal with it. It's because these M3 CPUs, they use whatever headroom they can get, so they're not gonna stay cool. They're just gonna clock higher, which is great. It's just, I don't get the icy temps that everyone talks about. So you may be asking, if I was gonna swap the motherboard, why not go to current gen Zen 4 and a 4 series GPU? Well, I just didn't want to waste more money for very little gain, especially in the CPU because the 5900X is already great. And honestly, for content creation, I didn't even need the 3080 in the first place. The purpose of this experiment was to compare the experience from an SFF PC to a full-size tower and see the performance differences. Ideally to simplify my life. Now I can overclock to my heart's content and never be concerned about pushing the temperatures on my components. My keyboard became endgame as well. This is the famous E-Yellow Unicorn and I actually got donated a GMK Greg by my community. Also won the raffle for the CYSM Artisan, the GMK Greg Kibi. I just swapped it for this video because I've been using the Greg too much. And to connect the keyboard to the computer, I'm using a black and yellow slimline cable from CableMod. Link below the like button. Now I have a perfect little setup. Powerful computer that I can stream and record and force the Roadhog Overwatch meta. Man, they nerfed my boy. Matching keyboard, and just a cool little theme to have fun with. As I've gotten older, I realized I don't need the most expensive things. I actually just need things that work. So my original computer was small, pretty, but it's actually really complicated for my day-to-day usage. So my final build is a bigger PC, but I've actually made a lot of quality of life changes that have made all the difference. We already talked about the Camlink Pro, so now it's a PCIe capture card. I just connect HDMI to the computer. I don't have to worry about temperatures anymore. So if I'm streaming and recording at the same time, I don't have to worry about my computer blowing up, and I don't have any kind of heat issues. But also, I've always adored Grove made monitor stands. I've been jealous of all my friends who have gotten one. They look amazing and they elevate the desk to another level. But I thought that it was just a little bit superfluous. I was wrong. GroveMate reached out and sent me the stand and it actually cleaned up my desk so much. And on top of that, it has a lot of depth. With this monitor stand, I can have a top shelf that I can lay large objects on, such as this MacBook here, or another keyboard when I'm building. So I have my personal keyboard I could use and the one I'm building on my desk. And below that, I have my USB dock and I have my power strip and other things that want to be hidden out of view. When I didn't have this, I had to hide everything behind the monitor. It's just not clean. And just overall, I can get my speakers off of the desk and just really create more space. So if you don't have the largest desk, having a monitor stand allows you to get more storage out of the same space. We also have the extra large felt mat here. And it's great because my typical keyboard mats are just kind of small. So often when I'm building in the center, I don't have any space for my other things and tools. So I end up scratching up my desk. So now I can protect my desk, have it extend all the way, especially for my top-down view. The entire entire frame is now filled with matte and it just looks a lot cleaner. I do wish they had rubber feet or kind of some kind of adhesive at the bottom so it doesn't slide around, but my monitor stand is sitting on it to try to keep it in place. So in terms of using a mouse, I actually have the BenQ mat here. And it's because I'm a pro gamer. Joking aside, the surface is a lot more comfortable. I don't like moving my hand around on the texture of the felt mat that much. Some people don't mind, but for me it's a little uncomfortable after a few hours. So, like a rug, this mat really pulls my desk together. Another thing that was changed was this random Lazy Susan for my tools. And this came from my wife, she was using it for her makeup. But I realized I have a lot of pen-shaped tools I use regularly, so putting it in some kind of cup holder shaped thing allows me easy access so that I can see what I'm grabbing. I used to have all these tools in a drawer and they would poke me when I reach into a dark drawer trying to find them. So now they're all easy for me to grab and really saves me a lot of time when I'm building keyboards or just working at the desk. So my GoXLR for streaming now sits on top of the monitor stand and it's great. It's tucked out of the way. I can still see the indicators for the volume, and my Stream Deck is now bottom mounted at the bottom of the desk so I can actually slide it out of the way when I'm done, or I can slide it out when I need it. It's a 3D printed one. It's about 40 bucks on Etsy. I'll link in the description if you want to buy one. I think it's saved me, I think this is one of my favorite cheap upgrades to the desk. So basically having someone force me to change my PC made me rethink my space and personalize it for me. And rather than focusing on only aesthetics, I actually found a place for everything and made it a lot more usable so I have less stress day to day. It's not about getting rid of everything. It's more about figuring out a place for things that makes sense for your workflow and basically not listening to anyone else's opinion. Like this Lazy Susan probably doesn't look the most aesthetic, but it saved me from rummaging through a drawer. Not finding tools stresses me out, and I know they're all here. Once I'm done, I put it back. Easy. So did I need this rebuild? Did I need these upgrades? No. Did I waste money? No, I don't think so. I think everything in this setup made sense. Some things may be more expensive, like a monitor stand. You don't realize how beneficial it can be until you get it in hand. The monitor stand was like an extra set of drawers for me. Also, there's a drawer. There's a tray right here that I can slide in and out, and I can put my things in there. So normally I have my AirPods in there, my headphones, and a pen or something like that. And really, that's just another level of organization, because now that I'm older, the idea of having a minimalist desk and having small computer case, nothing on the desk, just a microphone, a monitor, and that's it. This is cleaner than it usually is, mostly because I put everything behind the camera, but these are literally all the things I use day to day. My work laptop and my work dock is right behind the monitor. That allows me to stream, that allows me to work, that allows me to play, and allows me to create content. All in this space, and everything makes sense, everything's usable. This is honestly a fun experiment. I really enjoyed building another computer, and it's much easier to start with something hard than go to easy, because you can appreciate how easy things can be. Thanks to Brian for the PSU, thanks to CableMod for the custom cables for the PSU, thanks to GroveMate for setting over the desk shelf, the tray, and the mat. Thanks to my friend for buying my old computer, so it only costs a few $100s to upgrade this and change things so that it can be more useful for me. Would I do this again? Probably. I'm probably gonna find some kind of modification to my desk and my setup, just because I like tinkering, I like those kinds of things. Honestly, what kind of YouTuber would I be if I didn't upgrade my things every year? Thanks for watching, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.